sitting on the lake. They were fishing one afternoon. They were all retired. They were talking about one of their friends that had recently passed away. And at his funeral service, there were several people that stood up and gave testimony and talked about this man's life. Sometimes on the lake shore, when there's not a lot of fish biting, you can get into some pretty deep conversation. And so this question was asked by one of them. He says, I listen to all those people say all those different things about our friend at this funeral service. But what about us? What about when we die one of these days? What would you like to be the very last thing said about you before they close your casket and put your body in the ground? The three men sat and thought for a minute. One of them said, I want them to say that I was a loving family man and a great doctor. Second one said, I would like them to say that I was a caring husband and a teacher who made a difference in the lives of his students. I said, what about you? The third man said, I'd want them to say, look, he's moving! Last words. We often think about words that are spoken about a person before or after they pass from this life. Maybe the last words that were spoken to you by someone the last time that you saw them. But if really you were confronted with this absolute truth today, that you could have one last conversation with people that you love and people that you care about, and you have one opportunity to share something with them, what would you say? You spent a lot of time thinking about that because you knew those words would stay with them. You would probably say something like, I love you. I'll miss you. I'm proud of you. Over the last 3 weeks, we've been doing this series called Arise, the Resurrection. So we started by seeing our Savior crucified and then put into the tomb. We saw the women go to anoint his body. And when they arrived, the stone had been rolled away, the Roman seal had been broken, and they walked inside, and his body was not there. The angels say, why do you look for the living amongst the dead? He has risen. So they run to tell the disciples. You're never going to believe what happened. We went to the tomb to see our Savior, and his body was gone, and an angel told us that he had risen from the dead. The disciples said, yes, I don't know if that's possible. How could we even believe such a story? And yet Peter took off and ran to the tomb and saw with his own eyes. Surely there is no body here. What could have happened? Last week we saw that a week later Jesus appeared to his disciples. And they were sitting in a room and they were hiding from the Jews. They were mourning for their great loss. And he appears and they see his hands and they see his side and they believe and they know that it's him. But Thomas wasn't there. A week later he appears to them again, and this time Thomas is there. And Thomas had said to them, listen, there is no way I can ever believe that Jesus is alive unless I see his hands and touch the nail marks of his hands and his side. And Jesus shows up and says, see here, Thomas. See and believe. He touches, he believes, and he says, oh, my Lord and my God. And we saw at that moment that God gives us this great opportunity that we have the right to believe, or we have the right to refuse. But he always gives us the reason to receive, and if we choose not to, then we're going to follow a road to regret. Today we're going to finish this series, and we are going to look at some of the very last words that Jesus shared with his beloved disciples. If you have your Bible, turn to Matthew 28. We're going to look at verses 16 through 27. Matthew 28, 16 through 20. We'll see the importance of some of Jesus' very last words to his followers. First, we see he instructs them to charge the mountain. Last weekend, we had a great opportunity to go to a father-son retreat over at Highland Lakes Camp. And so we had several dads and several sons, and they had activities all throughout the evening and all throughout the next day. And one new thing they have there that I've never seen before is this game called Archery Quest. And what it looks like is kind of like a very small paintball field. Have you ever seen one of those? And it has these big wooden forts that you can hide behind and little places you can hide. And everybody is geared with a bow and an arrow that has this really big foam cushion on the end of it. So the idea is that you line up 8 members on each side of the field. They have this big, huge fort to hide behind and a little fort in the middle. Everybody gets a bow, everybody gets an arrow, and you are to shoot somebody on the other side. And if you get hit with an arrow, you're out. You got to go. So I got to go with pictures to show you. First one here is me and Sam, and we're getting ready. Okay, this is the calm before the storm. So we got our safety goggles on. I got 2 pairs of glasses on because my mom and dad told me you only got 1 set of eyes. You better be careful. So I got 2 sets there, and so we got our safety vests. We know which team that we're on. Second picture here is Pastor Jeff. See his big arrow there? That is his Braveheart moment. He is taking out the enemy. And the third one, this is me going, please don't hit me with the arrow. Please don't hit me with the arrow. Please don't hit me with the arrow. I kind of kept walking back and forth. And there seemed to be this moment, though, in every game, so everybody would kind of hide behind this big thing, and they'd be trying to shoot arrows over the top, or just peer out and shoot one and then go back. And then somehow people would get a little braver, they'd step out there, and people would start to fall off of each team, they'd get hit, they'd get out. And in all the games that me and Sam played, there would always be this rallying moment. So everybody else that's waiting to play is on the fence outside, and they're either encouraging you or they're making fun of you because you did something that wasn't very good. And so one of the dads actually said to me that I made a much better pilgrim than I did an Indian. Not really sure what they meant by that. So we're going back and forth, and there's this moment that everybody's out there, and they're cheering you on, and they're saying, go and get them, and it would always be a lopsided event to where there would be only maybe 1 or 2 people on one team, and 4 or 5 people on the other team. And whenever that happened, the crowd would start to cheer, storm the fortress! You've got them! Blitz them! Take them down! There's only 2 of them! And if something would happen, you would hear their words, and you'd be like, you're right. We've got the numbers. We can storm the castle. And so one of our kids in one of the games even held his bow in the air and goes, For Narnia! And just took off running. It was the Braveheart moment, right? Freedom! And then they all swarm the other team, and we try to knock them out and get them done. You had the courage to charge them out. We can do it. And that was one of Jesus' goals in these last words, was to give his disciples and his listeners the courage to charge them out in verse 16. Now the 11 disciples, they went to Galilee, to the mountain which Jesus had directed them. He instructed them, go to Galilee, 70 miles north of Jerusalem. I am going to meet you there. Verse 17. And when they saw him, can you believe that? Jesus actually showed up where he said that he would. When they saw him, they worshipped him. But some doubted. 3 things we have to notice about these verses here. Number 1, were there others? So this is what would make sense to my mind. The disciples have seen the resurrected Jesus Christ. We know that full well. Most of them have now seen him twice. Okay? So if you didn't believe it was him the first time, surely the second time he would have got your attention. And now this would be the 3rd time that they have seen Jesus in the flesh after the crucifixion. What does not make sense to me would be disciples doubting. What does make sense is disciples believing. It's the 3rd time they've seen him. Surely they believe by now that he is resurrected. So that leads some scholars to believe that the disciples were not alone. There was actually others there. But there was a crowd. Because that would make sense. The disciples fell down and worshiped because they believed. They've seen him 3 times. But for those who have not seen him, this was the first time, they still have doubt. But even if it were one of the disciples, this is how I see this playing out. Think about that dreaded doubt. Can you imagine this journey traveling from Jerusalem to Galilee? 2 of the enemy's greatest tools and greatest allies are doubt and discouragement. And so can you imagine some of the thoughts that maybe these disciples had as they were taking that journey? You know, when Jesus appeared to us that first time, we were so upset. We were so tired. We were so afraid. Could it be possible that we just imagined him being there? What if it was just a dream and never really happened? And then walk a little further. You know, even that second time that he appeared to us, we were so excited and we believed it was him, but what if he never even really died? What if this was all just a hoax? What if it was just a dream? What if all this was just a trick? And all those doubts can lead you to a place of disbelief. And you want to say that they saw him with their eyes. They touched him with their hands. How could they possibly be in a place of doubt or disbelief? And then we're reminded, how many times in our lives has God shown himself to be absolutely faithful? Over and over and over again. And yet, how many times do we still have doubts? How many times do we still struggle? And how many times is our faith weak? The third thing that I love about these verses is Matthew's honesty. There's many people in this world that do not believe that the Word of God is absolute truth. To me, these verses here are proof that it is true. Because if Matthew were to be writing a fairy tale, if Matthew were to be writing something to convince people that Jesus was alive, he never would have said there was some doubt. That's negative. That doesn't look good. That means some people didn't believe. Instead, he would write, Jesus appeared, everybody believed. 101% of all people came to faith in Jesus Christ. And yet he says, and the disciples fell at his feet and worshipped him, but there were some that doubted. We don't put a negative light when you're trying to convince somebody of something that is not true. So we know that God's word is absolutely correct. Verse 18. And Jesus came and said to them, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. This is a moment of power here. We want to set the mind image. The disciples have been trapped. Maybe alone. Maybe there was other people there. His followers fall at his feet, and then he speaks these words, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. All lordship over all things, all authority, delegated power. Which means that I have the power over life and over death. Power over the temporary and the eternal. Power to forgive and power to judge. The power to condemn and the power to save. The power to heal, sustain, enlighten, convict, lead, and complete. All power and authority on heaven and earth. And this is what he's saying. The battle has been won.
Amen.
Death has been defeated.
Yep.
Your sins are forgiven. The Father has accepted and confirmed the Son's sacrifice. So on this day, be encouraged, be hopeful, and be ready.
Amen.
Because there is absolutely no limit to the power of our God. So when we follow Him, we have no need for fear, doubt, or anxiety, because Jesus holds our hand. And in His hand is the power and the authority in all of heaven and of earth. So be ready to charge the mountain. And this is what I need you to do. Number 2, I need you to change the mindset. Another one of the activities at the Father-Son retreat is this thing they call a zip line. What I call it is a swinging tower of terrifying death. That is a much more accurate description of what it is. Yeah. So you go, and this is not normal. It's this tower that's like 7 miles up in the air. And they let you climb all the way up there so you can think about how you're going to die once you get up there. And they got these telephone poles, 3 or 4 miles away from where this tower is. If you've ever seen it, it's absolutely frightening. And these huge zip lines, so you climb all the way up to the top of this tower like Jack and the Beanstalk. And they strap you into all these harnesses. And then you jump off the edge, okay? It's not like a tight zip line where you just kind of let go and sit down. You jump off and you plummet 10 or 15 feet like you're going to die in a free fall. And then it kind of catches you. And you, when that happens, the heavier the person is, the more the tower kind of goes like this. So I took my rifle on the ground. And I'm watching this happen going, Lord, please don't let nobody die on this retreat. Not on this retreat, Lord, please. And I'm ready to take all these pictures. And these kids are just going up and down, so you climb this ladder all the way to the top. And so this little guy gets up there. He's little, like maybe 5 years old, 45 pounds. Little guy. And he starts climbing up this ladder. I'm thinking, man, I can't believe he's going to do that. And he gets about halfway up the ladder. And then he stops. And then he starts crying. So I had these two thoughts in my mind. At first, I feel bad for him because he's scared. He's just a little guy. My second thought was I was really proud of him because he came to his senses and he was going to come back down. So I'm standing with one of the dads and we're watching this kid. He goes up about halfway and then whoo, he latches on, right? He is not moving. He ain't going nowhere. He's just crying. So they get his dad to come over there and dad goes, "It's okay, buddy. Keep going. Just keep climbing." And I was thinking, that kid ain't climbing up there. Get that. Come on, just keep going. That kid is not moving. So then one of the workers climbs up there next to him and he's talking to him. He is not moving. And so I'm just thinking, why didn't he just come down? You know, he made it up that far. Just come down. They keep trying to talk to him and he is not going anywhere. Listen, somebody tell the kid just to go down. Not one person has told him, just take steps down, you'll be okay. They got this harness thing on and you'll be all right. And then we see this guy climb all the way to the top. And there's this some kind of rope rigging mechanism thing. And he unties all these things. And then the kid starts to climb down the ladder. So for about 10 or 15 minutes, we're sitting there watching this young man. And our mindset is that he is absolutely terrified. He is not coming down because he's afraid. And yet the whole time he wasn't coming down because the way these harnesses work is you can only go up. They won't let you go down. That way if the kid falls off, they don't plummet to the ground, they just hang there. So the whole time me and so dad going, why don't he just come down? All he has to do is take steps down. Steps down are way better than steps up. And yet we were misperceiving what had happened. As soon as they let that kid loose, he was going down. He was trying to go down the whole time. But it wouldn't let go of him. You see, we had to change our mindset to understand what was happening in this situation. And what we learned from our scriptures today is sometimes we have to change our mindset to understand what our purpose is in this life. Verse 19. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. It could be one of the most famous verses in all of Scripture. So let's take it slow. Remember the singing. Jesus has been crucified. He has risen from the dead. He has appeared to his followers. He is now appearing to them again, but the second, the third time for some. It will not be long before he ascends to the Father. So these are some of his last words of instruction that he gives them on this side of eternity. First word, go. Now listen, I want you to really be open-minded here. I want you to clear your thoughts. I want you to be prepared to hear something maybe you have never heard before. And that is the definition of what this word go means. Okay? Now I know that maybe you walked into this place with a preconceived idea of what this word go means, but I want to tell you today what it means in the original Greek language. Okay, are you ready? The word go. Now brace yourself. It means go. That's exactly what it means. It means go, journey, travel. It means go. Are you telling me that God has something for me to be doing in this life? Yes, I am. I'm glad you're listening. Go, therefore. Therefore what? Therefore, in light of, go, because death has been defeated. Go, because the grave has been conquered. Go, because I wasn't making it up when I told y'all I was going to rise from the dead. Go, because I wasn't kidding when I told you that I was the Son of Man. Go, therefore, in light of the fact that all power and authority in heaven and earth is in my hands. This is what you need to be doing. Go! Get out there in the world, which is why a part of the vision of our church is to be growing our family. In order to do that, we are not going to the church that points a finger or sends a smoke signal out to the world saying, hey, listen, y'all come on in here, but instead we're going to say, we are going to come to you. We are the church that will leave the building, because there's a whole world out there that needs to know about this great love of Jesus Christ. And they're not waiting at the door to get in here.
Right.
And so God says that we must go, therefore, out there and find them. And make disciples, followers, pupils, apprentices. People who attach themselves to a teacher in order to learn, identify, live, follow, and mimic. Get out there and make some disciples. Those who are going to follow Jesus and learn to live like Him. And where should we do this at, Lord? In all the nations. What does that mean? Does that mean we make disciples in India? Yes, we do. Does that mean we make disciples in Missouri? Yes, we do. Does that mean we make disciples in the prisons? Yes, we do. Does that mean we make disciples in Livonia? Yes, we do. And baptize them, dip, or immerse in the name of the Father, Son, and the Spirit, the Holy Trinity of our faith. Teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. This is the process of discipling. Murphy says, a disciple is one who believes in Jesus Christ. They express their faith by being baptized. They remain in fellowship with other believers to be taught the truth of faith. And then they are able to go out and win others to Christ and to teach them. So we see a pattern here. Accept Christ as Savior. Be baptized in faith. Be taught what it means to follow Christ and honor Him with your life. And then go out and make more disciples. One of our greatest downfalls as believers and as a church in a whole is we often forsake our new believers. They walk the aisle, they say, I want Jesus to be my Savior, and we say, praise the Lord, we're going to baptize you and eat fried chicken, and then we'll see you in heaven. And that's about it. So we try to be very intentional here at our church to instruct and to equip new believers. So every child that comes to faith in this church, we give a booklet that they go through. It takes them about a month that talks about what does it look like to be a Christian and to live like Jesus. For every new adult believer, we assign them a mentor, somebody who is in the faith that will walk with them through those first months or years to help them know what it looks like. We give them material. We meet in life groups every single week to study the Word and know what does it look like to be a disciple of Christ. We open up the Bible every Sunday in this place and say, okay, here's what Jesus says, and here's how we apply it to our life. We would be very intentional about this process that we are saved, we are baptized, and we are taught, so that then we are equipped and we are able to go out and share the good news. And then we don't stop. We don't go out and just say, hey, Jesus saves. We take those people and say, now listen, this is what should happen after you become a believer. And we stay with them and we encourage them and we teach them and we disciple them. But here's the problem. The world would have us to believe that we have purpose in this life. And the world might say, your purpose is to be happy, no matter what. Your purpose is to make lots of money. Your purpose is to excel at sports, at band, at academics. You are to live your life how you want, where you want, and the way you want, and that is all that matters. And yet here's Jesus, the Son of Man, some of his very last instructions. And he says nothing about money, or possessions, or hobbies, or toys, or selfishness.
Amen.
Right. And instead, he says, get out there. Tell other people the good news. Baptize them and teach them what it looks like to follow me. So, preacher, are you saying that tomorrow I need to quit my job so that I can start making disciples full time? No. Students, you may be thinking, preacher just told me I can quit going to school and just make disciples. That was the best sermon I've ever heard in my life. No. You see, instead what we do is we have to change our mindset that every day of our week is not just another day of routine, where we wake up, eat breakfast, go to work or school, come home, have a snack, watch a little TV, eat dinner, take a shower, go to bed, and the next day do it again and again. But instead, we have this purpose and this goal in our life to make disciples. And we do that at work and at school and in the grocery store and at the gym and at meetings and the ball field and at the restaurants. And we get to where we have a mindset to where we are constantly looking for ways to fulfill our purpose in our everyday life.
Yeah.
Living like Jesus and pointing people towards Him. In order to do that, number 3, we must channel the Master. I hear what you're saying, preacher, but I just don't know. Sharing my faith with other people, that is not easy for me. Making disciples, I have a hard time making my lunch sometimes. How am I going to be able to live a life that pleases God? How can I fight this constant battle between flesh and glory and come out victorious? Verse 1. And behold, I am with you always to the end of the age. He gives them 4 words there that they need to hear. You are not alone. Behold, look upon, experience, perceive, discern. I am always with you. And just in case you forgot, the one who is with you has all power and authority, heaven and earth, in His hands. Lord, that sounds great. But just how long are you going to be with me? Because I plan to live to be 110. That's a long time. You going to stay with me the whole time? He says, I will be with you to the very end of the age.
Right.
Forever. Morning, night, rain, shine, storms, calm. I will be with you, and that will never, ever change.
Amen.
What a great hope that we have as believers. That we have a God who walks with us, and we do not walk alone. As long as we're following Him, we have absolutely nothing to fear.
Amen.
In 1899, D.L. Moody became very ill, was on his deathbed. And he spoke these words to his family. I'm not discouraged. I want to live as long as I am useful. But when my work is done, I want to be up and off. The next day, Moody awoke. After a restless night, he carefully measured his last words and said this: earth recedes, heaven opens before me. His son was there. He said, no, Father, you're just dreaming. And D.L. Moody said, no, this is no dream. It is beautiful, like a trance. If this is death, it is sweet. There is no valley here. God is calling me, and I must go. Those were the last words of D.L. Moody that he spoke to his family, words that they would remember forever. Today we've seen some of the very last words that Jesus spoke. And I pray that we remember them forever. Charge the mountain. There's nothing impossible when God is involved. Change the mindset. You were not created to just work, eat, and play. You have a purpose to make disciples. Share your faith. Teach others. Equip them. Be a mentor. But it's a lifestyle. It's not a once-in-a-lifetime calling. Channel the Master. It's only by His grace and through His power that we can live this life He has called us to live. A life driven by the power of the resurrection. It is time for the church to arise. Lord, this is what we pray today. That our hearts be molded. That our spirits be convicted. Lord, that we can realize there is not a single word that you spoke to us on this earth that was not of the utmost importance. Lord, we know the power of the words written in red. But Lord, help us to take heed of some of these last words that you spoke. Some of these last instructions before you ascended to the Father. Lord, that we can be encouraged as your disciples. Because all power and authority has been given to you. And you are with us. And you are for us. Lord, help us to be challenged that sharing our faith and reaching a lost world and making disciples is not an option. It is a glorious obligation.
Amen.
So Lord, help us not to see our part of the Great Commission as a once a year or a once a quarter or a once a month or even a once a week challenge. But God, help us to see that it is a part of who we are in this life. God, help us to change our mindset that everything we do is not about work and school or even about family or hobbies. So many things that fill our days and fill our priorities and fill our schedules. But Lord, in the midst of all those things, we have great opportunity. And we have priority. Lord, to share our faith and make disciples does not mean that we all quit our jobs and go into full-time ministry. Because, Lord, the truth is that you put us in our jobs and you put us in our towns, you put us in our schools, and you put us in our restaurants so that we can meet people right there in that place, that we may have no other opportunity to ever share our faith with were we not heard. So, God, help us to see our responsibility to be disciple makers and to follow through right where we are. And Lord, help us to be fully aware that we cannot do this on our own. It is not within us. It is not our natural ability. It is a supernatural gift. But Lord, you tell us that all power and all authority have been given to you. And if this is your command to us, and we follow in obedience, Lord, we believe hearts will be changed and eternities can be secured. Disciples can be made and the world will be affected. But Lord, it starts with our choice to go. Convict our hearts today of how we are not stepping out in faith and trusting you. Lord, we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Stand together with us today.